My name is Joanne Snow, and I'm a Sage Intacct implementation consultant with Vision 33. Welcome to our Sage Intacct purchasing overview video. Today we're going to review the purchasing overview screen. We're going to discuss purchasing approval options. We'll go through the purchasing process. We'll print and email our PO, and we'll show the purchasing dashboard. So from the purchasing overview screen, we have our data section at the top, we have our tasks, and we have our reports. From the data section, this is where we would edit, maintain our vendors, items, price lists. Then in our tasks area, this is where we're going to create our purchase requisitions, create our purchase orders, receive shipments, create vendor invoices, and also we're going to do our approvals. Now we can insert an approval process anywhere in our purchasing process. We can insert the approval for the requisition at the vendor invoice stage. Any stage along the purchasing process we can have a purchasing approval process in place there. So we're going to go into the configuration for the purchasing module, and we're going to look at some of the purchasing approval options that are available to you. So we have the purchasing approvals turned on, and then we have approval policies. So we're going to maintain our policies in here. So again, currently we have an approval policy set up for purchase requisitions. We can also add additional approval policies if we wanted to put one in place at the vendor invoice stage or along the shipping stage or receiving a product, that sort of thing. We're going to view the purchasing approval policy in place for the requisitions. So some of the options available to you for your purchasing policies are value approvals, department approvals, employee manager approvals, that sort of thing. So the value approval, of course, this is based on a dollar value. So if I show you the dollar value set up here, so right now we have a policy in place from anywhere from 0 to 1,000 can be approved by a level 1 employee. Anything over 1,000 to 100,000 can be approved by a level 2, and then anything over 100,000 can be approved by a level 3. And these levels are assigned to the individual users or user roles. As mentioned, we can also do department approvals. We can also do employee manager approvals. So with the department approvals, when you set up your departments in Intacct, you can assign who the approver is for that department or the manager is for that department. Similar to employee manager, you would set up the employee and their manager, and then anything that the employee creates as a requisition would need to be approved by the employee's manager. Okay, so those are some of the approval policy options that are available to you in Intacct. So we're going to go over to the purchasing overview screen, and we're going to create a purchase requisition. Okay, so we're going to choose our supplier, staples, the vendor terms and dates, that sort of thing, currency will all default from the vendor based on the vendor setup. So we're going to create a $250 purchase requisition here for staples, and we'll click submit. Now we know we have an approval policy in place here because we have a submit button versus a post button. So when I click submit, that's going to submit this purchase requisition for approval to my manager. Okay. Then we're going to go into the approve purchasing transactions. So here we see any purchasing approvals that are there to be approved or declined. So I can approve all by selecting the select button here, it checks off the checkbox for all, and I can click approve or decline if I want to approve all at once. If I want to approve just the staples, the $250 staples requisition, again, I can go in and click on view the details of this purchase requisition, and I can approve it here, or I can approve it from the purchasing approval screen that we just saw. So I'm going to put in a comment here, good to go, click approve, and now that purchase requisition is approved. Okay, so the next step in the policy would be to then convert that to a purchase order. So I'm going to go into my purchase requisitions, and I see my most recent purchasing requisition here. So I can click convert, and I'll click convert to purchase order. All of the details from the requisition, the vendor, the terms, the line items, they all default from the purchase requisition when I click convert to purchase order. So if I need to make any changes, I can do that here, or I can just click post. And again, you'll see we have a post button now instead of a submit button because we don't have an approval policy in place once you're creating the purchase order. So I'm going to click post. That brings me to my purchase order screen now. So this purchase order has been created. So it's purchase order ending in number 16. So I can print and email this document to my supplier. I could click print, which would open up the purchase order itself. So I can see all the details. This is what's going to get attached to the email if I emailed this out to the supplier, or I can print it and pop it in the mail. If I click email here, if I had an email address set up on this particular supplier, it would default here. I can also preview the PDF attachment that's going to get attached, and then I can click OK, and that will send it off to the supplier. Okay. So we've created, so back to our overview screen. So we've created our purchase requisition, we approved it. We've also created our purchase order, we've sent it off to the supplier. So the next step would, if you're using inventory or a receiving process, you can receive the shipment when you get the goods, and you can also convert to a vendor invoice. And converting to a vendor invoice, you would have seen that in the accounts payable video. So the last thing I wanted to show you was the dashboard. So we do have some purchasing dashboards available to you here. So there's several dashboards available. One of them is a project manager dashboard that I'm going to show you here today. This basically just wanted to show you this gadget here, purchases to approve. So when you log into Intacct each day, when you see your dashboard, we can have the purchases to approve as an option here to see on your dashboard. So when you log in each day, you see you have two purchase requisitions that require approval. Another thing I wanted to note as well is when you create these purchase requisitions and you send them for approval, the employee who creates the requisition will also get an email if you decide to turn that on. They'll get an email if the requisition has been approved or declined. So just to recap what we saw here today, so we looked at our purchasing overview screen. We talked about our purchasing approval options. We went through the purchasing process, creating a requisition, approving, converting it to a PO. We showed how to print and email our purchase order, and we also showed how we can see our purchases for approval on our dashboard. Hope you found this video helpful, and thank you for watching.